What's up, everybody? It is Moose and Brian here from OccupyFantasy.com at OccupyFantasy on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, you name it, we're probably on it. I'm joined here by Brian at BrianJesterFF, here to break down his lineup from last night, which won him a little bit of money, a nice little ticket, and how we can use the strategy that he used to make this type of lineup for our lineups tonight. So, Brian, how are you?
Feeling pretty good, Moose. Gotta say, I'm on a little bit of a heater here, especially in NHL. I had the MMA win a couple weeks ago too. I guess 10 days ago. So yeah, it's we talk about the peaks and valleys in DFS. This is certainly one of the peaks right now, and I'm just trying to stay hot.
Yeah, and not to put too much glitz on it, but I will say, even though that you've been absolutely dominating recently, we still need to take these videos where we take a step back, look at our lineups. Was there anything we did wrong? What did we do right? And let's just keep grinding and making our process better. So I'm glad we're doing a video like this, and let's just take us through. You're the one that made the lineup, so if you wanna talk about it, go ahead.
For sure. So this was the $250 qualifier last night for the Fantasy Hockey World Championship. The Fantasy Hockey World Championship, the FHWC abbreviation, is a 40-man event at the beginning of May, and it's a live final. I don't know if it'll be live. If not, it's going to be online. I don't know. Either way, 40-person championship event. First place gets $150K, and it's pretty tough to qualify for. Lots of big names, lots of very good hockey-specific DFS players in these contests. I actually won a ticket into this contest. Part of the importance of satellite hunting, not using $250 of my own bankroll to play it. And just looking at the leaderboard here, I mean, Peter Gibbons finished third, had a very similar lineup to me. He already has 2 entries. He's been in the Fantasy Hockey World Championship a few times. Mr. Good Seats, obviously a great DFS player. Acro Nympho in 7th place. He got 2nd in the Hockey Championship last season. This guy in 9th, Q80. Was actually talking to me on Twitter today, saying that he's going to take the trophy from me this year. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a tough. I'm really excited and proud that I was able to get this done, just because we've been working so hard on NHL, and to be able to defeat some of the best NHL players in the game to get this ticket.
Yeah, I know you and I were sweating it last night. I was watching the Tampa Bay game, and if you weren't watching it, they scored with 0.1 seconds left in overtime. I was like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely nuts. So, congrats to you, Brian. With this lineup doing well. I'm sure you did well in some other contests also. But let's jump into it tonight. So you talk about there's different strategies that you have to do with NHL lineups, whether you're doing a single entry like this or going all the way up to 150. So we have the Occupy Fantasy lineup builder. But first, let's take a look at the even stacks. I know you, Brian, you said you wanted to talk about this first. And we'll just go from there and see where it takes us.
Sounds good. Ken in the chat says, if you win the event, you promise you have to botch the winning player's name. I like, that doesn't have to be like a troll move. I'll just do it by accident because I won't know how to say their name. I still, to this point, haven't watched a single game this season, and I'm hoping to keep it that way.
Yeah, you notice I said Tampa Bay goalie, not try to even say his name. So, yep. So I have the even strength dashboard here. You can check it out at OccupyFantasy.com. Ranks all the slates, or all the lines from all the teams based off the OF index, team total, their salary, projected ownership, all in one easy digestible dashboard. So Brian, what are you looking at when you see this?
Yeah, so looking at the even strength stack dashboard, which, like you said, does rank the skaters for the slate, their even strength line, so center, winger, and it's always interesting to me. And the first thing I'll notice tonight is Colorado and Boston top the list, and that's not surprising, right? These are 2 very correlated line ones. But the fact that they're going to be 2 of the most popular lines on the slate, if you look at the DK percentage column, is a little scary. But just means we'll have to get different in some way tonight. And let me see here. I'm looking at what you're looking at. And the way I've been doing it most is if you actually sort by DraftKings percentage. To get the projected ownership and kind of see where the tiers are in ownership. Who's going to be the super popular teams? Who's going to be that next group? And then to me, seeing beyond that group who sticks out in our ratings or team total moves, and then thinking that we can't pair 2 popular teams together. One, because we'll probably probably be duped. And two, it's just more resistance to getting to the top of the leaderboard. So every single slate I've been playing, I've limited myself to one popular stack per lineup, and that's roughly 20-25% projected ownership total. And as we see tonight, two teams over 44, a couple teams over 30, a couple teams over 24. So I think anything over 24-25% probably exclude from playing with each other.
Okay, I can definitely understand that, and the lineup builder makes it very easy to do that. So you've seen our faces for long enough. I might go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and switch over to the lineup builder and hide our pretty faces. So we'll see you all in a second. Let me jump over here. Perfect. I think that switch actually looks pretty cool. I don't know what did you say, Brian, but hey, there we go. And so we have the lineup builder up here now. And you said you don't like to do two popular teams. So I'll hop over to the multi-builder, and we can jump into the stacks, and let's put that rule in where we don't have two popular teams or two popular lines.
For sure. And the translation just came up on my end. Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Nice. So I'm up here in DFS Magic in the stack settings, and there's the exclude stacks from the same lineup. And we can do it. So, Brian, if you want to go ahead and name off the stacks that we should be doing, then I can put them in here.
Okay, so we got Colorado even 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
We have Boston 1. We have. Oh wait, hold on one second. Sorry, 1 second. Let me sort on my end. Okay, we're still good there. Vegas 1 and 2. They're the highest team total. Both lines are relatively inexpensive.
Okay.
Tampa Bay 1. And Tampa Bay 2. And then we actually have LA 1, and then St. Louis 1 and 2, and that should get us there.
St. Louis 1 and 2. Perfect. So we have 10 items selected, and just to show, we hover over the question mark. That means these 10 lines will not be used together when we do stacks.
Right. They'll still be used. They're just not with each other.
Exactly. Yep. And one other thing you like to talk about is you love to play these 4-3-1s on DraftKings. They seem to give you the most leverage, and so we have 4-3-1 as our priority number one. And I guess we keep that as 100%. That's what's been working, right?
Yeah, I'll just build 100% of those. The only thing I will change here, just at the very beginning, is at the automatic stack section at the top, forcing a center winger in every stack, demon only in the power play, max 1D. And then offense only mini stacks. So we'll check everything except the forced goaltender, which I normally don't do.
Perfect. And so we're all good there. Don't need to change any specific team stack rules, so we'll just hit close. And what's your next step here? I know you like to use strict mode a lot. Do you use strict mode in NHL?
Yeah, I do use strict mode now, mostly just to control the one-offs, that number one of the 4-3-1s. But again, we can just run it on non-strict mode just to see what the builder is thinking tonight and how it's putting together the lineups from the occupied model. So really, the only thing is building 150 lineups, and then any advanced settings, making sure that we're doing full stacks and not including defensemen in our utility spot.
Yep. So I went ahead and changed the randomizer to high, full stacks, no defense and utility, and then I dropped the salary down to 47,000.
Perfect. And this will give us a pretty good range of what's expected tonight.
Yeah, and if I want to just see what the occupied model is kind of looking at, I'll just give the thumbs up to the top 2 goalies. It usually kind of gives you a good sense there.
Sure.
And then we'll hit build lineups. And Brian, as we talk about while we're waiting for this to build, for these 4-3-1s, the one-offs, you like to have it as a defenseman. And the logic behind that is actually pretty sound. Do you want to explain why you use just a defenseman as one off?
Yeah, for sure. So they're the least correlated of the groups, right? When you're stacking, the defensemen are the least correlated. And on DraftKings especially, they can easily hit value by themselves, especially the cheaper guys, just because of the block shots bonuses. If you get 3 block shots, you're adding a couple points more. Like last night, my lineup included a guy who I've legit never heard of, but he was $2,900 for Philly. I was the only guy in the qualifier with him, which didn't surprise me because, again, I'd never heard his name, never seen him before. But but he picked up around 6 DraftKings points. That's all I needed for a guy right around 3K. And the thing is, for those one-offs, and this is why I like to go into strict mode to control the defenseman that it's choosing, is that you want cheaper guys in there. Because if you have a really expensive player, they have to get there, and we talked about this on Monday with Jack, they have to get there by getting some points, goals or assists. And if that's happening, that means their teammates are also scoring points as well, which means it's less likely that stat or that player is a better one-off than he is involved in his full team stack. So by limiting your one-off to defensemen that's cheap, it really is the optimal way to play. We see there's a lot of pros do it, and then a lot of the strategy we've been talking about in Discord has revolved around that as well.
It's a good alley-oop throw there. Yeah, so if you want to check out the Discord, occupyfantasy.com/Discord is how you can join our Discord server where we're always chopping it up. It's an absolutely fantastic resource, especially for NHL. We're always chopping it up, throwing in like the project when the goalies are confirmed or if line switches. It's always a great resource there. All right, so Brian, so we have the 150 lineups built. What would your next step be here? Would it be the team pair exposures or the teams?
I like to just look at team pair exposures just to see what the builder's thinking, because remember we did eliminate any popular combos. So which unpopular team is showing up near the top? Maybe that's a team that gets us some leverage tonight.
So just looking here, of course, Vegas, Tampa Bay, Colorado, Tampa Bay, Colorado, Boston, Minnesota, Boston. So it's actually a wide range. Maybe Tampa Bay's showing up in here a little bit.
Yeah, so Tampa Bay 2 is probably on the list. The other one that stands out to me is Minnesota. They, I know they have a few skaters that are of the high opportunity variety, indicated by the symbol in the builder, and they showed up pretty highly. Like if you go to the card view, Moose, and see what the highest projected lineups are, you kind of get a visual which teams are popping up near the top 2.
Cool. So I went ahead and switched over to the card view and sorted by projection. And if we look here, so I see there's the 3 with the Vegas stack here. Which teams kind of stand out for you here, Brian? I see a couple teams.
So I will say what's interesting here is that we do have some popular teams together, but the way the lineups are built are involving the power play. So like that first lineup, I first looked at it, I was like, wait, did the rule not work? Because it's Colorado and Vegas, and those teams are 2 of the most popular teams projected tonight. But if you look, and this is really interesting, is so Colorado's top line is McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog. It doesn't include Landeskog here. It includes Brandon Saad, who is on the second line but plays on the first unit power play. And this is a great way to differentiate a popular stack, is playing a winger or the center that's on the power play but plays on a different line. And that's how we snuck around the rule of 2 popular teams here, because if you just played it straight up, 1, it wouldn't fit, but 2, it'd be really popular. Here's a sneaky way to get 2 popular, high projected teams that rank highly in the model together while being different. And that's an interesting approach.
Yeah, I saw that. It was very interesting. And with the combined ownership of only 86% here, that's definitely going to get you unique, especially with the way that you're stacking it. So definitely good there. I just want to see one thing here. If we just go over to the team tab, again, Boston, Colorado, Tampa Bay, still high percentage. But then we have, on the flip side, Arizona and St. Louis at 2%. I know last time me, you, and Jack got together, didn't really like to have anything less than 5%. So what would be your next step here? I mean, you have basically, for St. Louis, 1 lineup with a line 2 and 1 with a line 3. So is that something that you would keep, something you would throw away, or how would that work?
I got to be honest, I did keep, and to be completely honest, I didn't look at too much when I won the 20K a few nights ago. I think I probably had a few stacks in this range. But again, if you wanted to change it, and I have any problem with doing it, I do this a lot in other sports, is going back to that stack menu, setting those 2 teams as 5% or target exposure, and we'll probably get that.
Yeah, and I think, but I think the other way around it would be picking which stacks you wanted in strict mode and going from there. You could do
Yes,
that
probably.
that way.
Yeah, that if you're trying to get that deep into it, that's probably the best move.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, cool. So if you all have any questions or curious about how any of this works, we can definitely go ahead and ask. We also do have the DFS Magic YouTube channel where we have some tutorials there as well. Brian, we still have about 12 minutes left or so here, and Brian has a question. Says, I didn't think Side was on PP1, and I think I missed the beginning of this. What's your range for total ownership percentage?
Good question. Yeah, and I'm double checking now too. Again, this is important while you have to check, especially in these COVID times, checking the lines and power play units before lock. So I kind of see that too, and I'm not sure. So again, that's something we'll have to monitor here. Saad's normally not on the unit, but I guess he's projected in here now as of 5:15. So something we'll have to check. As far as the second question, I don't really, to be honest, I don't look at total ownership. I look at the individual line ownership and not pairing the high ones together. But as far as total ownership goes, the fact that we're pairing two separate and we're 4-3-1 stacking optimally, it's not going to be that popular, especially if we eliminate those popular pairings moves.
Yeah, and what percentage of the field in high risk contests do you think play 4-3-1s?
Good question. That's something we could actually easily check out. Sorry, I just spilled my water on my end, and now there's a flood on my desk.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. All right, we're good. Yeah, it's definitely the highest number on DraftKings. It's also the highest number on FanDuel as well from the small sampling we've done. Of course, we still think 4-4 is the best stack on FanDuel, but a good amount still do 4-3-1. But again, you'll see that they're one-offing wingers or expensive players, or they're playing popular stacks. They're not mixing in power play units. So there's a lot of ways to still get different.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my final point was going to be on that. Question here from Ken says, how are you approaching late swap / lineup changes? Do you build again before lock or start to adjust manually?
Yeah, this is another really good question. And this is something that I think is a benefit of not knowing much about hockey and not changing much for the builder. Obviously, I'll create these basic settings, but I haven't been setting target exposures. And I don't think Jack has been either, and he's had tons of success as well. So fortunately, what I'll do, I'll go into the builder at like 3:30 or 4, input all of my settings, run it, see what it looks like tonight, not make any decisions. Then I'll go back in at 6:30, run it again with all the updated lines, see what's changed, what hasn't changed. And then if something else changes, I'll run it again. Like I think a few nights ago, I ran it again at 6:58 and just export it and upload it, just because I knew the settings were straight. Like I didn't have to change anything. I just had to make sure I had the most updated lines and line pairings. So yeah, I do run it again late. And if you're super strict about your exposures, then it's tougher. You might have to manually adjust. But if you're letting the builder do most of the heavy lifting, I think you can run it again really close to lock.
Yeah, and Jack is in here and says, correct, I do not set exposures for my lineups. So
good to know.
Yeah, perfect. I'm curious to you, Brian. One other thing we'd like to talk about, or one other setting we like to do is not have, two centers from the same team in the same lineup.
Yes.
And so, do you see any of, if we go back to we can go back to the card, or we can go back to the table. Do you see any of those here?
Yeah, so just real quick about this. Another benefit of the Discord is, again, really smart people in there. And the morning after a slate is always reserved for strategy discussion. And we'll see a lot of intense, tinkerings and strategies about the previous night. And we actually have a top 10 NHL DFS player in our Discord channel. He won like 35K a few weeks ago. He was in the hockey championship last season, got a top 10. And he's always talking about different strategies. Him and Matt in the Discord. And one of his findings this year is that out of all the slates, just one out of like 50 has featured a double center from the same team. So that's something we can probably eliminate from our our lineups. The only exception there is if they're classified as a center on DraftKings, but they play on the same line. So a line is like center, wing. Really, what we're trying to eliminate is two centers that play on the same power play. And the very first one you'll see is this fourth lineup here, Kadri and McKinnon. That's a very popular pairing. So we can go ahead and eliminate them, and then that could be an example setting.
Okay, and so Kadri and McKinnon. So all we would have to do is go back to multi-build, custom rules, and add a rule, and we would say it's the max one from a custom group.
Yep, exactly. And Jerry's in the chat, who's all I bleed is blue in the Discord. What's up, Jerry? He said, could I use the same approach to build 20 lineups? And yeah, I absolutely think you could. The one thing I would probably change is the randomness setting. High is great for 150. I would probably set it at medium or also low. Start with low and see if you think it's too concentrated. I don't want 60% of the same pairing or whatever, maybe 40%, whatever it is. Start it on low, build 20, and then spit that out. And if you think you need a little more variance, up at the medium. But I think that's as high as I would go for 20 limes. That's the big difference for me.
Cool. So I went ahead and added that rule, and we're going to go ahead and rerun the builder. I'm just curious what kind of output it brings, if it updates any of our top stacks or how that works. We'll be here for 6 more minutes. So again, if you have questions, great questions, go ahead and ask. If you're here and you're new and you like what you see, definitely go ahead and hit the like button on the video, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. We're going to be doing a lot more videos. You get notified of when we go live. And you can check out the website, occupyfantasy.com, to get access to the builder, the Occupy model, Discord, all that good stuff. All right, let's see.
Good stuff, Moose.
Yep. #ad. Perfect. So, all right, perfect. So we go back here, go to teams. Yeah, and, St. Louis is still at 2. There was another team last time that was at 2, but not there anymore. But Colorado's all the way up to 39% now. But, I mean, everything still seems kind of the same. Just a little bit switches here and there.
Yeah, again, just that one minor rule change isn't going to affect too much. It just really gets us better lineups. That's the key. Try to get as many good lineups as we can with rules and settings before having to look at it manually. And in hockey, fortunately, you don't have to do too much if you get all the settings right.
Yeah, and Jax is, of course, the winning FanDuel lineup had 2 centers from the same team.
Now, Carolina is the one team, and Carolina was amazing last night and one of our favorites here at Occupy. #OurCarolina or our Hurricanes. They have 3 centers on the first power play. So if their power play goes off, they get a couple power play goals, it's very likely that they'll end up with multiple centers. There are a couple teams like that maybe buck the trend a little bit. You don't want to play some shitty 2-goal team with 3 centers or something. So just be cognizant. It's obviously there's exceptions to every rule.
Yeah. And Ken says, what's the strategy on goalies? Does it change from 5-game slates to 10-game slates?
Yeah, I think so. The fact that no goalie is really going to get that popular on a 10-game slate is pretty nice. I really like these 6-game slates because Moose, we can, especially for high-risk contests, like you're playing the GPPs, you're playing satellites, you're playing 100-player leagues. You can eliminate the most popular goalies just because of the variance in here. So if we go to the goalies tab, I'll look and see who's the highest projected goalies, and probably if they're over 15%, I'm not including them. If they win, they win. But really what you see is unpopular goalies are keys for winning big GPPs, winning satellite tickets. My goalie last night was 9.5% owned, which is mind-boggling to me because he's literally the best goalie in the league, according to the 0 minutes of hockey that I've watched.
Nice. So, yeah, we can actually go back and, it's funny because we gave thumbs up to 2 people that were pretty highly owned. And so you said you don't include anyone over what percentage?
Like, it depends on the slate, but like 15%. And I think tonight we have a couple of guys that fit that.
Yeah, so it was funny. Those are the 2 guys that we thumbs up. So if we go here, exclude these top 2 goalies, Grubauer and Fleury. Yeah, I think I got that right. And we give thumbs up to the 2 highest guys after that, Curtis and Capo, or Capo, whatever. God, I just gotta start calling them by team names now.
Cap.
Stop the cap. All right, cool. So we'll do that, and this will be our last run. I'm curious how, because they are cheaper, even if it's by just a couple $100, how that will affect our build.
It will. It will, because Fleury and Grubauer are both popular. And again, pros like to do this, and a lot of optimizers like doing this, is pairing a goalie with a stack. And the fact that Colorado and Vegas are two popular stacks, we're going to see a ton of Colorado plus Grubauer, a ton of Fleury plus Vegas. So if they get blown up, it actually eliminates a lot of the stacks too. Even if Vegas does well, but they win like a 5-4 game or lose 5-4 or something, then a lot of those stacks are eliminated from contention.
Yep, totally agree with you on that. Brian says, I'm a Red Wings fan. Carolina was an absolute smash spot last night.
That's every game against the Red Wings, my man.
And then All Blades Blues says Colorado bucks that trend with Kadri and Mac. So
yeah, that means Kadri's a beast, and he plays on the power play with McKinnon. I mean, a lot of different ways you could play. You could do Kadri with the top two liners, top two wingers, Rantanen and Landeskog, or you could play McKinnon and Kadri together. It's a good way to get different for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And again, that's also another reason why the NHL Discord is so good, because we're always chopping it up and finding these rules, these exceptions to the rules. Because, like I said, Brian, you and I, we don't follow that much hockey. We just know what works in DFS, yet we have people that study the game, top 10 pros that know what they're talking about in terms of like the intricacies of that. And it's a great combo.
Yep.
So if we go back here, Colorado went from 39 to 32. Vegas is still at 32 as well. But yeah, you can keep tinkering with these and get them just the way you want it. Lock isn't still another hour and a half, so you can really pull some nice lineups out of this.
Absolutely. And the teams that stick out for those of you just looking for some picks for tonight, obviously Colorado and Vegas is a popular stacks, but San Jose, who the model's been on for a couple weeks now, they have a really correlated top line. They're our fourth highest exposure in this build. Minnesota, who the model likes a lot tonight, and they have a variety of lines at different price points that you can play. Chicago, going against a backup goalie in Tampa Bay. And then LA, surprisingly, makes the cut, and they very rarely do that. So lots of options tonight, despite it being just a 6-game slate.
Yep. So definitely you can pick one of these. You can pair up inexpensive with something like LA. You're looking really good. Brian, is there any last words you have before I take us out of here?
No, let's bring our faces back in the mix here, and we can close out the show.
Yep, definitely. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it back. There we go. And our faces are here. So I have the goalie dashboard up. Again, occupyfantasy.com is where you can check us out. And again, if you like the video, definitely hit the like button. If you're watching this replay, comment, say us what you like, what you didn't like, if you want us to have more of these. And again, check out occupyfantasy.com. Until next time, Musa and Brian from Occupy Fantasy, have a good night.
Good luck.